How are you doing?
Thanks for coming, man. Honestly.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Paul.
Hey.
Hi.
Who's? Huh?
I'm just waving at the camera.
Oh, I can do that. Hey guys.
Let's wave. Let's
Hey,
do a
hey.
A-B cam wave. Hi.
Bam, 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 bam.
Hi.
And wide shot.
Oh, we got a wide
Boom.
shot right there. What's up? Wide shot.
Yes. Okay, so I have a story for you. First of all, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, obviously.
Okay.
But we actually met before. And so I had auditioned for, what was it?
Clover?
It was Clover, yes. And Pete Johnson, our mutual friend, called me up and he said, hey, the director wants to meet you. And I said, and that's never happened to me before. After an audition.
I remember this. I'm looking at your face and I was like, I remember him.
My hair was a little different. It's a little crazy right now.
Okay.
And so I was just like, oh, my actor ego just inflated when I heard that. I was like, oh my God, he's going to give me this major part and we're going to be best friends and this is going to be amazing, you know? And so I show up and you couldn't be any nicer. You know, you were awesome like you are.
Thank you.
And we sat down, we started talking, and you were describing things to me, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, so I was trying to figure out this entire time, like, which part is he trying to give me? And you said, you know, it's going to be long days, and you might be out there in the rain, and I'm just like, wait a minute. And then you probably had said it, but it didn't register, and my ego was too big to register that it was for your stand-in.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
And I was just, and as soon as it registered, my ego just went.
Oh, you're like, no screen time. No screen time.
Hey, it was an awesome experience, and like I said, you couldn't have been nicer. And
thank you.
You're an amazing person. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I try.
honestly.
I try. You know.
And you know what? We do look a lot alike. We're
we
very
definitely
handsome.
do. If I recall, I probably wanted you for the part, the non-part.
Non-part.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but
look, you've moved on to bigger and greater things.
I have, and that left me with a great story to tell too.
Yeah, I think it's important to note at this moment that we're coming to you live, although this will be listened to later on.
Pre-recorded live.
But we are recording live, physically live at the Casting Buffalo Expo in Buffalo, New York.
How incredible is this?
It's awesome. It's even better than I had thought it would be. And I knew it would be amazing because you got Pete and you got Harry and you got Kyle on the case.
Yeah, it looked amazing on paper. But now that you actually see it, like I still have like goosebumps. It's amazing. Yeah, so many vendors are here, so many attendees are here, and so many like students that are like volunteering and stuff.
It's an amazing turnout.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Amazing turnout.
Yeah. But enough of everyone else. Let's talk about you.
Oh, okay. Twist my arm.
Yeah. So we were talking beforehand, and you said that your home base is in LA, right?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in New York City.
Yeah.
And I've lived in LA for the last 21 years. I moved out there when I was 25, just so people know how old I am through the microphone, if you want to figure that out.
Yeah, math.
And I've done a pretty good job of being bi-coastal. You know, it was very hard for me to seed my New Yorkership, you know.
Yeah, that is a question of mine. Like, how does a New Yorker survive in LA? You know what I mean? An East Coaster.
I moved out there when I was 25. Yeah. I didn't drive. And that's usually
a necessity in LA.
Yeah, that's like, you know, that's the Bear Grylls survival thing in LA, right? That's the first thing is like, how are you going to drive? And then it took me about 11 years of the 21 that I've been there to kind of go like, oh, okay. Like, you know, to admit that I live in Los Angeles. I just refuse to give over to it. And I think that, they're apples and oranges, and you cannot compare the two.
Right.
And they each have their own strengths and weaknesses that the other doesn't. So, you know, once you kind of figure out how to make that work for you, it's cool. But professionally, I think at times it's been confusing for, you know, other people in my industry because they don't know where I am. You know,
right?
They're like, you know,
is he
in New York? Is he in, you know, where is he? You know, and certainly in the last like 10 years since I moved into directing and made my first 2 films in Buffalo, you know, there's a lot of people like, what's the Buffalo thing? Like, are you from Buffalo? Like, you know.
Yeah, right.
So there's that. But
well, let's talk about that because
sure.
Why Buffalo?
Why Buffalo? So important to note and give a shout out to Matthew Quinn, who's my best friend.
Awesome.
Since he moved.
I love Matthew.
Yeah. Shout out Buffalo Expendables, who has a table here.
Yep.
Or look him up online for all your film expendable needs. But he moved to the city, to my neighborhood, which at the time was a pretty mellow neighborhood. There wasn't a lot of people. Certainly wasn't a lot of kids. It was a lot of funky artists and stuff. Tribeca, New York, represent. And he moved from Buffalo when he was 9, and we became close buddies. And then he moved back out here in his adult life, and you know, he's a cinematographer, a very talented cinematographer.
Absolutely.
And he's very involved with the film commission here, and he wanted to do things to help grow the film commission here, and make more of a sort of film infrastructure here.
And boy, did he.
And he did.
Wow.
I mean, he did. And so he sort of, you know, gave me the confidence to jump into directing and said, like, look, I think we can do something here, and let's do it, and bring some of your fancy Hollywood friends, and, you know, and let's try and get some attention for the city.
So it was all Matt.
It really is. I mean, my connection to Buffalo is all Matt.
Wow.
I had only been here a handful of times growing up to visit him when he moved back here, or, you know, come for like a Bills game or something.
So you've done 2 movies in Buffalo, right?
I directed 2 films in Buffalo.
Right.
I've acted in 1 film in Buffalo called The Romans, which was a project.
I do remember The Romans. Yeah.
It was a project Larry Quinn and Matt Quinn and Corey Green did.
I've worked with Corey. He's amazing.
Oh, I love Corey.
Amazing director.
Love Corey. Shout out to Corey Green. Yeah.
He's awesome. And so is there maybe a 3rd film coming up directed in Buffalo?
Mean, for sure. I mean, anytime I have a project, my instinct or my initial hope is that we can find a way to make it here.
Awesome.
You know?
Wow.
And
is Buffalo your first choice for that?
Well, depending on the film, sure. You know, I think that like it's been a learning curve for everybody working in film in Buffalo since we made our first film here all at once. And I think it's, you know, it's caught up because the business has come here. Yeah. And there's a lot
really
more
for Clover,
stuff.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's
really
fine.
for Clover, we were cutting our teeth on you, you know?
Right.
When you were here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Clover was a kind of, you know, was a tier 1 film and a union, you know, all union film. And, you know, I think a lot of people learned a lot from that experience here and carried it with them as there became more and more film stuff here. So, you know, and there's a strike right now, but like with them building these brand new state-of-the-art stages here, like, you know, I think that once the strike ends, I think you're going to see just a huge influx of business, you know?
Absolute boom. I can't wait.
I think it's kind of getting to parity now with the capabilities of the crews here and you know, the film and television work. So yeah.
And not only do we have the talented actors in the area, as you can see from the huge turnout here today, but the crews in this area are they're impeccable. They're second to none.
They really are. Yeah. They're really hardworking and, you know, they give everything. And, you know, I just rewatched the first movie I made here called All at Once, which is streaming right now on Tubi. As is Clover, y'all. You can watch them for free with ads.
Do it.
you know, All at Once was such a scrappy production, and it was, you know, just the amount of stuff we were able to do is really because of how hardworking and invested the people were here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, they just gave everything. We all did, you know, and I do believe that, like, when you're making a film, certainly independently, you have to, you know, you got to sing for your supper, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, you know, yeah.
And, you know, it's funny because I'll get some roles on some big movies that come into Buffalo, and the crew, like, they're all my friends. They're the people I grew up with. You know, it's
right.
it's
right.
a
It's
total family production.
It's family. It's a small town. It's a tight community, and that's really great. You know, I try to treat any set I'm on, certainly when I'm directing, as a family. You know, and you know, everybody's just a neuron that's part of the bigger brain. You know,
of course.
Nobody is sort of, you know, everybody's equal in my opinion. That's the way I like to do things.
Good.
You know,
good.
Even when they're my stand-in.
Yeah.
On Clover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what I mean, Paul?
You know. See, now I'm kicking myself in the butt. I should have just done it.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Hey,
it was the time commitment. Like, it was literally like all day, every day.
And it was.
And God bless the stand-ins, you know,
for sure.
Like to just stand there and be lit and posed and you know.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Hey,
I don't think I could have done it.
No, I mean, I think that, like, if you're just starting out and you want to learn a thing or two, that's a really great job on a set, because you really, you know, you're with the camera crew while they're setting up and all that stuff. It's a really good way to, like, kind of, you know, learn the ins and outs of how a set works. And, you know, how filmmaking works.
That's right.
You know,
it's
which
immersion.
I'm not sure you would have the same experience in a film class.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
You know, at least till your third or fourth year.
Yeah. It's education immersion.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah. I
want to talk about what you're working on next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
What are you working on next?
Well, I was acting in a television show, which got shut down because of the strikes halfway through shooting the season. It was picked up, but I'm not at liberty to tell you what it is. I've signed an NDA.
Of course.
So that most recently is what I've been working on.
Can you write it on a piece of paper and just slide it over?
I mean, I could, but then we'd have to burn after reading.
Okay.
You can smell.
Wait, is that a clue? Is it
maybe?
Is it a remake?
Maybe. It's not a remake of Burn After Reading.
Okay.
Which I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no. I was working on a show, and that's on hold right now because nobody's working. Union.
Of course.
And I stand with my unions. And you know, as I've sort of moved my focus more into directing in the last 10 years, I just, at this point, having been an actor for 28 years, honestly, you know, there are times where it becomes less transcendent for me. And I'm not as creatively satiated as I used to be from acting.
Yeah.
And with directing, I think it sort of satiates my interest in all the arts, which I was going into a career or a life of visual arts before, you know, I kind of got the door open for me in Hollywood, or in film, I should say, not Hollywood specifically. But, you know, I think I'm attached to direct 3 projects, one of which we redeveloped Page 1 to take place in Buffalo. You know, specifically.
Awesome.
And, you know, I'm hoping that when the strike ends, we'll get up and running, you know? So
I can't wait. I mean, I do also stand with our union and unions, and I know that things are going to work out for everyone involved, and I can't wait to get back to work.
I know.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it was satisfying to see your progression, you know, the progression of your career from actor to director. I think it was a natural progression for you. And I feel like you found your spot. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I know I did from a sort of mind, body, spirit place. You know, I can feel that in all three of those ways, I think. That's what I always wanted to do. I always, you know, loved films. My dad used to take me to the movies every weekend from 5 years old, you know, even before. And, you know, I always wanted to work in movies, but I don't know that acting was my desire. You know, it was more the creating of, or even just working craft service. I probably would have been happy doing that.
Really?
I think so.
From someone who's worked with Robert De Niro to say that is just, to me.
Well, I like being on a set.
Yeah.
And I like being a neuron. That's part of it. And, you know, like I said, I do believe that like all those positions are as necessary.
Absolutely.
You know, but yes, I do think that the transition was a natural one. I needed the, you know, 18 years plus of acting experience and on-set experience to gain the confidence that Matt Quinn put in me to jump in and make my first film, you know? I just, you know, I needed that. And once I got that little push, you know, it came very easily to me. And a lot of people ask me like, you know, is it hard to direct and act in the movies that, you know, in your movies?
Of course.
You know, and it's never been a concern of mine. Like that's the easiest thing for me, especially because I know that's one actor who's going to listen to me. Not to knock actors out there, but
no, of course.
Y'all listen to your directors, man. But yeah, you know, I don't know. It's just, So I think maybe having the experience as an actor helped to make that transition into directing and acting simultaneously a little more seamless.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know we have limited time to do this.
Sure.
But
whatever. Let's go. Lightning round. I'll talk fast.
Well, I want to make sure that we hit everything before I let you go. What do you have anything you want to add or?
Well, I mean, I could talk for hours.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I've been doing this a long time. It's just, you know, there's so many things to talk about, especially with the nature of where the business is going. But I think that from an acting perspective, you know, the door opened for me in a very unique, albeit stereotypical way, right? I'm like whoever it was that was discovered at the drugstore counter, Lana Turner, whoever it was.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she was discovered like at, you know, sitting at the counter.
But how were you?
Well, I grew up in New York City. I hung out downtown and I was just kind of walking down the street and got approached by Harmony Korine, God bless him, and Larry Clark, God bless him. And they were making a movie called Kids. And they just picked me off the street.
Really?
And
wait, how old were you?
I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 16. They were like, hey, you know, it was like nearly the end of the school year. I was a junior. And they were like, hey, we're making this movie. You know, do you want to come in and audition for it? And I went to like a real artsy high school. And, you know, I would take like an after school elective that was improv. And that had really opened my mind to acting, I think. I'm a big improv fan, be it comedic or dramatic.
Same. It's so important.
Yeah,
especially
it's so
with what
important, and it's such a good muscle to flex.
Yeah. Not only for the industry that we're in, but I mean in life.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
and
think
honestly,
fast on your
like
feet.
that's where the spirit lies for me. I think that's the spiritual part of acting for me is somewhere in the realm of improv. More than it is, you know, other things. I love the spontaneity of it. And I love thinking on my toes and, you know, existing and all that stuff. I just think that there's a lot of reality there. So, you know, I wasn't
I took
looking,
you off the path. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You didn't. I wasn't looking to be an actor. Like I never said, I want to be an actor. I want to be this famous person. You know, like I said earlier, I just wanted to work on film in some capacity. And so when that door opened for me, because we didn't know that Kids was going to be what it was when we made it. I mean, I thought it was just some wacky art film, and I was like, "Ooh, this will be fun thing to do this summer." Another
after school summer activity.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, it might be good for college." To have on my college, whatever registration or whatever it is, and then it became the sort of sensation that it is, and the door opened for me, and I thought, well, how many times does this happen? I've got to see where this goes. And so that was my entryway into working in film,
Good.
And, I think that I've carried that with me the whole time in my career. And when people ask me for advice, my thing is just do whatever you can do. It doesn't matter, like I said, whether it's being a stand-in, no jabs, Paul, or working on a student film, or working on something that's ridiculous, like that you just think is not going anywhere and it's terrible and blah, blah, blah. I mean, try to remove your judgment, but also it's all a learning experience.
Exactly.
And I think that over the course of the 28 years I've been doing this, I just always have to bring myself back to that place of I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting to work on a film set, and there's always going to be an opportunity for growth. I've never looked at it as it's all got to be perfect and it's all got to be a straight line. And
we're all constantly learning. I mean,
that's right.
We're learning right here today.
I think a lot of people get caught up in perfection. Because film and television, film certainly is forever, right? Whatever those 24 frames per second are going to be out there for infinity until their planet is no longer, most likely. And I understand the desire to have it be perfect, but I think that if you can sort of lay in the messiness of it a little bit and sort of lay in the abstract of it, there's a lot more room for growth and a lot less room for disappointment.
That's perfect. Well stated. Live in that messiness.
I think so.
And don't strive don't stress yourself out about being too perfect. That perfection is a thing that is sometimes unachievable. I mean,
exactly. And I mean, I think you just have to look at it all as a career. I, for whatever reason, look at things in 4-year periods. I look at them sort of like high school or college. And so it's every 4 years I'm like, okay, well, now I'm a freshman again. And, now I'm in grad school or whatever it is, it
That's
just keeps
really
cool.
going. To chunk your life.
I just do it like that. I do a lot of things like that. I have OCD, so maybe that's part of it. But you're
preaching to the choir. I think every actor has some form of OCD.
I have a buddy.
ADHD or
totally. I mean, artists are crazy people.
We could say that because we're artists and we're crazy people.
And I'm 1,000% certified. But I have a friend who is a big VFX person. And they were telling me when they first started out in this business, they would do craft service on anything, as long as it didn't cost them any money. If it,
it's a good philosophy.
If it covered their gas, they would do it. And that's how they learned and worked their way up to being one of the biggest VFX people in the industry.
That's amazing.
And it's a similar philosophy I think that I carry. It just do whatever. Treat it like school. You're getting paid to go to school, or it's not costing you anything to go to school. And it should always be that way.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Get that free education, right?
And never stop.
And no student loan debts.
Never stop. I mean, I've never been a straight line artist. I'm pretty expressionistic and things are all, it's hard for me to draw, as a realist or in a straight line. And it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to have everything be a perfectly presented straight line. It's, it's easier to just have it be a process. And, yeah, I think that, like, you know, with directing, you know, I also feel that way. Like, I treated my first film.
Can you move the mic closer?
I treated my first film like a thesis film. And even my second film, even Clover to a degree. You know, I don't care. Like, I don't really care at the end of the day. If you don't think it's perfect, great. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm learning. Yeah. I don't need to be a master right out the gate.
Well, that speaks to your creative mind too, because, you know, when I see the movie, I think it's perfect, right? But you know, you've been behind the scenes, you've created the thing, and so you know you can pick out everything that you probably wanted to do differently or better or whatever, right? But for the viewer, it's like an amazing piece of work, you know? So, I mean, that perfection, I guess, is in the eye of the beholder.
It is, and any art is a subjective thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think, what do they say? Like, if 50% of the audience receives it well, then you've beat the odds.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's like the best you can ask for, is that 50% of the people that look at your art get something from it or like it, you know?
And that's a big percentage.
And so, you know, the older I get, the more I sort of understand the principle of that you really should only be making or creating things that you want to make or create, not that you think other people want to receive. Yeah. Whether that's monetarily or whatever.
I think that's really important.
It's really important, and I think
it
that's
shows.
Like, and so, you know, I try to remember that, and you know, then it's pretty cool. Yeah. Like, then it's pretty cool. Everything's pretty cool. Yeah.
If you make something that you love to see and you had fun doing, and you know, you make it for yourself and your friends and your family, I mean, that speaks volumes, because it's going to translate to the larger population. Yeah. You know,
I mean, I had a buddy on a movie. I was in a movie called Outside Providence. And I was pretty young and still pretty new. I mean, I think it was like, I started doing this in 94, 95, and this was like 98. Yeah. And his philosophy was like, you treat it all like a prize fight, you know, like boxing. And it's like, you know, you do your best each round, but you're always going to have another round, right, until it's over. Yeah. And, you know, you always try and just do one thing better in the next round, if you can, you know. And I think it's a career, and a career is a ongoing thing. It doesn't have a beginning and an end. It's fluid, and so you've got to look at it that way, and you've got to be like, oh, you know. And then it's nice to watch people's careers back and see all the growth, the
fluctuation.
Yeah, totally. You know.
Yeah. That's
awesome. I do like the prize fight thing. I mean,
I do.
I remember him telling me that specifically to scenes when working on a movie as an actor, and he was like, like, that's awesome. You didn't feel good, because I remember I shot a scene, I didn't feel good about it. And he was like, you don't feel good about it, you know. But he's like, you're gonna do the next scene, and you know what I mean. You got your chance for retribution for yourself, redemption for yourself, and so and so, you know. I definitely keep that in mind.
That's awesome. I've enjoyed watching your career, and again, I really appreciate you doing this. I love sitting down and talking to you.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, brother.
And when I'm in LA, I'll look you up.
Yeah, please do. And you know, next movie we make here, I'm gonna reach out to you.
All right.
But not as my stand-in.
All right.
All right.
See? You heard it here.
Yeah. Craft service. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right. Peace, y'all. Bye.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, I really
and that's so funny.
Oh, so much fun.
I
couldn't wait to tell you that story.
Gosh darn it. That's hilarious. And I totally remember now.
Yeah.
I totally remember. I think I wanted you to do it. I think I was like, that guy's great. Get him to do it.
Get him to do it.